It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and this week's theme is called Neotokyo, and this is my summit guide. Let's go. All right, real quick before we get into it, man, if you're not a member, you can see some of these videos a little bit early. The summit guides I post right away, but everything else kind of gets to you a little bit earlier if you're a member. You just hit the join button down below and you'd be supporting me and the family, so I really appreciate it. Anyways, let's get into it. All right, let's start with the cars. As always, the summit bundle this week will cost you $565,000. You're gonna get the Honda Integra Type R, the Nissan Fairlady Z432, and the Honda NSX. Now, an additional vehicle I do recommend for this week is the 450 EXE Robbie Madison Edition. If you don't have it and you don't have these specific parts, which is the score breaker set of parts for motocross with the skilled affix, if you don't have these parts, you can use just whatever car with score breaker on the Bullseye. There's a part where you have to go through water. I would just recommend like an off-road car. You can do like Rally Raid. You're going to get a full score as long as you have score breaker with skilled as your affix. If you don't have this part set, you're going to struggle a lot, and you're going to need to use two different things. You need a car and a boat. So just your best bet is to grind these parts, man. Just try to get these parts for all the cars. You definitely need score breakers. So if you have it on motocross, this bike is going to be like sort of the one-stop shop for that Bullseye, because you have to go on the street and on the water. So anyways, here are the rewards for this week. You got bronze, 100,000 XP, silver is 100 prestige tickets, gold, you get a Honda Civic Type R, and the platinum reward this week is the outer white tire. It's basically the Spear Hog tire. It's a little bit stretched, but it has that white outer edge. So if you like white tires, this is your week. All right, the keys to the summit this week are going to be the shortcuts. There's a lot of shortcuts this week, so I'm going to show you everything I know. I'm going to try to make it quick because there's a lot going on in the summit. So anyways, let's go ahead and get to it. Here are the pro settings for the cars that I just mentioned, and then we'll get to that first event. All right, the first event is with this Honda NSX, and there's quite a few cuts in this race. So let's just take a look at this first lap, and I'll talk you through it. So this first corner is kind of interesting. You can cut it to the right after the trees, stay to the right of that flag, and then go across this. Stay to the left of that checkpoint flag. You're going to slow down for this particular corner. No need to go on the curbs on the inside. You want to stay off of those. It definitely affects your turning radius because the front of the car jumps up. Here you want to use some NOS to try to get up to top speed. And then up here, you want to stay on the sidewalk. You don't want to go on the grass. So there's grass on the right side. There's a sidewalk here. You kind of want to be wider than this so you can make this turn a little bit better. I think I did it better on the second lap. But basically, you want to do that. Slow down for the turn. The car is very slippery, but it's a loaned one, so there's not really much you can do about it. You're going to go through this brick wall as close to that building as possible. It's a second gear turn. Use a little bit of NOS to get going. Make this turn. And then you're going to cut to the right here and downshift to third early. And brake heavy. Get close to the building. To the right before the big tree. Try to maintain traction. I didn't on that turn. On this turn, your visual cue is this little like wall here. You don't want to hit this at all. You got to stay away from that. And then your visual cue on the left side over here is this Neotokyo sign. You can go just to the right of that. There's tires here you can break through. On this particular run, I didn't. I went a little wide. You want to stay close to that wall. A little bit of NOS here, not too much. And then you're going to control speed here and cut left before the tree. Control your speed, control your speed. Go ahead and accelerate out. Cut this corner here after the building. And then accelerate out. You can use some NOS here. Try not to get T-boned. And you're basically at the finish line. Just make this last turn normally. NOS to the finish. Let's move on. All right, the next event is a drift event with the RX-7. This one's loaned as well. If you're on direct mode, you need to turn off direct mode for this event. If you do not turn off direct mode, you're going to be stuck with this, where you're completely turning and the car just goes straight. And you won't be able to actually control the car. It's literally just locks up and your car drives straight. So turn direct mode off. Lower your dynamic max lock. If you're having this problem and you're not on direct mode, go to your max lock and lower it. You need to have it on like at least, I have it on 70 and it worked out fine. But you could probably go a little bit lower than that, like to 50, and it'll be much better. You can keep your sensitivity up, just lower the max lock. All right, so the drifting itself. So in this case, you don't want to hit any walls. You want to keep your combo alive. The max combo, I think, is 90 if you have all your legend points applied to your slippery affix. So slippery is what you need for your legend points, and you can get a combo of 90. So that's what you're looking for this entire time. Just keep the drift alive all the time. You can use NOS to keep the car's speed up, and you just want to flick the car back and forth and just keep the drift alive. Now, if you're having trouble drifting, I would take a look at your difficulty settings and change some of your assists. I recommend having drift assist all the way up on, I think it's comfort is the highest level. Turn that all the way up. Turn counter steering on. You want to have the most easy way possible to do this. You want to keep your drift alive for the entire time of this event. All right, that's it. Let's move on. All right, the next event is with the Integra. Now, this one is a little bit tricky. There's some things that you got to know about this event. So, let's just go ahead and fast forward to those things. This first corner, you can actually take it on the curb. Just slow it down into third. And then you're actually going to be doing some wall riding here on these turns. So go up here, smack the wall in third, nos out of it just like that. And then you're going to do the same thing all the way up the hill. You notice I'm just going to hit the wall there, hit the wall there. And for this particular turn, this is the last one of this hill. You don't do it. Get into fourth, accelerate around, and then use a little bit of nos here, just like little bits of nos. You want to keep enough for this tunnel. On the tunnel, you're going to go up onto the wall, steer up the wall. Make sure you're steering up the wall, and then steer down the wall to get off. Down into third to take this gutter. And these are all gutter turns except this first one. So you make a right gutter on that one. This one is going to be the cut. So cut early. You can even cut the flag a little early. Go to the right of this flag and then cut back left. So you can go back and get this flag here. Make sure you're controlling speed. If you don't control speed, you're going to go too fast and hit the wall on that, but that's the right cut. Now, no cut on this one. You're going to take this regularly, grab the gutter. You're going to cut on this flag. So go off-road again. Cut here. Again, control your speed downhill and get yourself back on the road. Again, this one, no cut. Okay? Gutter on this one. And then you cut on the right side here. Go left of this big tree here. You have two big trees. 1, 2. Go to the left of the second big tree. Get back on the road. Take the sidewalk. And get going. All right, this next part is just a straight here. When you get to the end here, slow down for this corner. So we'll go through this section. Nothing tricky here. When you get to here, cut across a little bit. There's a cut here at this next flag. So get some speed. What you're going to do is go straight through here and then immediately start to downshift and brake because you got to make this corner. So make this corner, then go straight through the parking lot on the left side of this palm tree. Straight through, dodge the cars, straight through these trees, onto this curb here for the right-hander, and you're at the finish line. All right, let's move on. All right, the next event is with the NSX. This is just Legendary X Rivalry. So this is going to test your gutter ability. There's also a couple of cuts. So just so you know, every turn on this course, all of the like S turns and stuff like that, they're all gutter turns. You want to make sure you're in the gutter and trying to keep the car as stable as possible, just like this. So that's what you want to do every single time in the gutter. Let's move on to the cut itself. So you're basically coming around here. All right, it's right here after this turn at 29%. I think I fell out of the gutter. I did. You want to try to stay in the gutter there. Anyways, when you get to this checkpoint here at 32, you cut to the left, go up the hill a little bit, and then hit this checkpoint. Do not reset. The reset stops you at a dead stop. Does not work anymore. Same thing with these. These hairpins used to be a reset. Now they're just gutter turns. So gutter, gutter, another gutter here, another gutter here, another gutter here, another gutter here. So many gutters. All right, the next cut is down here at the bottom of the hill. As you're going across, 69%. You can go to the left of the flag, get yourself on the bridge, cut across after the bridge ends right there. Use some NOS here, and you're basically home free. Let's see. I don't think there's any more cuts. You can kind of cut this corner here if you want to, but yeah, it's not really a cut. All right, that's it. Let's move on. All right, this next race is very important to have a Slipstream partner. You can cut off 4 to 5 seconds on this race with a Slipstream partner. I highly recommend it. Simji and I were able to get the world record. Shout out to Simji for helping me on this one. If you guys don't know, his channel link is in the description down below. Go sub to his channel. He's an amazing driver, and you're going to find a lot of good Motorfest content there. Anyways, you got to have a Slipstream for this. Let me get to the cuts for you. All right, here at about 47%, you're going to go through the bushes, slow down a little bit, across the sidewalk there. Get wide for this next turn. You can cut this corner here and then cut to the right inside these arrows. Get yourself up to speed. You and your Slipstream partner. You don't have to cut this one. You want to keep as much speed as possible. You're basically home free. Stay on the road. Don't hit the walls. And that is it. All right, let's move on. All right, this next one is a 2-lap race. We had this exact race on last week's summit. So I'm going to go over the first lap before you start this race. In fact, before you actually give it a proper go. Your first start of the race, you need to go through here and hit this truck on the corner. Just bump into it, reset, just retry. What you're going to do is basically it takes the truck out and it just despawns it. See, now it's not there. And you can make this corner very nicely. So the corner looks like this once you make it nicely. You cut it right by the house. Otherwise, the truck would have been there. Anyways, you're going to do that. Then we'll cut through these buildings here. Stay left if you can. Use a little bit of NOS here. And cut across to the right. Don't hit that tree. I hit that tree. Don't hit the tree. Down to second gear. And make the turn. Use NOS to start going quickly. Now your visual cue is the end of this wall on the left. You want to stay just to the right of this, and you can cut across that side, then cut across this side. Line yourself up for the turn. You can use a gutter there if you want. Next cut is here on the right-hander. You watch out for the boat. And you're going to cut this corner here, close to the building. And then you're going to cut on the left here, left of the sign. Control the car if you can. I know it's bumpy because of the curbs, but you just got to do your best. And this one, you try not to hit the wall, but I did anyway. And that's it. You do that twice. All right, let's move on. All right, for the slalom, it is better if you go downhill. But if you have score breaker, it's not going to matter at all. I think I got like 16 points more for going downhill. You do get more score, but it's not like detrimental. So if you have score breaker with skilled as your affix, you're going to do fine whether you go up or down. But just so you know, down is the best way. Try not to miss any gates. Have your score breaker parts, and you will get a lot of points. No ifs, ands, or buts. Let's move on. All right, the Bullseye this week, I do recommend using the water bike. This is the Robbie Madison motorcycle. And it doesn't really matter too much how fast you go. This is just for simplicity. You don't have to change vehicles in the middle of this race. You notice you go off into the water. This thing handles it nicely. You can just keep hitting those bullseyes and not really worrying about, switching vehicles. So I recommend that if you have score breaker for motorcycles. But if you don't, then just use whatever class you have score breaker for. You know, if you have like an off-road class, like a rally raid, you can just drive through the water in rally raid. It's not going to be a big deal. Or if you have rally or something like that, you can do that. But I would say just, try to avoid switching vehicles. It's just a pain in the ass on that one turn. So anyways, let's move on to the last one. All right, the escape is pretty easy. You're basically going to be following this path here. I would take this gutter and then launch off of this hill here. And you're going to basically just keep going that direction. Make sure you're using NOS in the air as well, but don't use too much of it because you want to have some every time you get air. Notice I'm using like a little more than half, which I should just chill out on. Notice I let it build up there. Smart. Good job, Trigger. Anyways, this is the path. You're basically just jumping. Street 1 can hold some good speed off-road. When you get to this section of road here, you're going to join up with the road. And you're going to follow this road a little bit. So follow this down. And you can actually keep going straight when you get to the bottom of this hill. But I decided to stay on the road for some reason. We would have got more points if you just keep going straight that way. But that's basically the route. You're going to get a lot of points if you can get that far right there. So anyways, that is it for this one. All right, here are my final scores. If you have any questions about this, you can send me a DM on Instagram or Discord. I read every single message that comes my way. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helps, and I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.